But on to more serious matters, the Dubai financial market today launched its new general index, culminating the successful accomplishment of a comprehensive transformation of its indices methodology. The developed indices provide various market participants with world-class investment and traceable benchmarks for the DFM equity market. Even the S&P Dow Jones Indices acts as the circulation agent of all the indices. And I know you're the financial guru of the two of us, Neil.
Well, I mean, yeah, I've put in 2 dirhams in some of the stocks. So, yeah, I mean, I'm definitely a better one to understand all of these things as compared to you.
Well, to get more details about this, we're fortunate to be joined in the studio by Dr. Abhishek, the strategic consultant, risk management, fintech enthusiast, RegTech, insurtech mentor, crypto compliance. If I keep going, we'll be here till 7 o'clock. Ex-banker, founder and CEO of the AJMS Group. Doctor, thank you very much for coming into the studios of Talk 100.3.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
It's great to have you in here to talk about such an interesting topic. As part of the vision of Vice President and Prime Minister of the UAE and ruler of Dubai, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Dubai aims to increase the total volume of its stock markets to 3 trillion. I mean, how likely is this possible? I mean, how long is this going to take?
I think it is quite possible, and the initiatives which has been taken, like the one which you mentioned today, especially shows the commitment towards bringing more international investors, bringing more transparency to the markets, and you can see the recent listings which happened, especially in DFM, Diva, Salek. There have been really good, IPO listings which has been done, which only shows how all these organizations have prepared themselves for the listing and how the market has supported them in the entire ecosystem, which, as you mentioned, is the vision of His Highness here.
Right. I mean, you mentioned about the market. The market literally lapped up Diva, Salek. It was oversubscribed, and how, right? But we'll trace it back to what has happened today, and that is the new general index that has been that's been launched. So, what is this new GI, and how does this impact anyone who's investing in the market?
So, if for people who have been following the market, SCA had come out with this change in the methodology about the index. Now, the purpose is twofold, which was also documented by DFM during their discussion. One was focusing on bringing this transformation to bring more international investors and have a benchmark which can, be linked to the global indexes also. So that is something which help market participants bring more transparency as well as more liquidity, as we have been talking about in the market, and helps the market to improve further. Yeah.
And what is it like with some of the other companies? I mean, Lulu Group and even GEMS Education, we're seeing schools looking to go public in 2023.
Yes, that's interesting. And these are some of the bigger, organizations which has been doing really well over the last many decades, I would say, especially in UAE and GCC. And one of the key things which we always, observe in terms of any organization which want to go for IPO is the readiness of the entity itself. It's very important that you understand the regulation, what is required by DFM. And given the corporate governance structure for these organizations which you just discussed, I can only say that it is much bigger and better, the IPO market going to happen. Yeah.
Right. So now, for the ones who probably could not get their hands on stocks during IPO, how big a difference it is to buy the stocks off the market or try and get them at the IPO level?
I think but in today's scenario, DFM has made there is an investor number which has to be generated. It's a very seamless process, complete digital onboarding process linked with your UAE pass. So all the investors who are there can go on the DFM, download their app and do the digital onboarding side and start identifying who your stockbroker is, and through that just go into the market. Yes, obviously the retail investors percentage will vary from IPO to IPO, because as you rightly mentioned, Neil, the oversubscribe has happened, and that's always good for the market, good for the listing, good for the price, and that's where the investors and I would say the retail investors should always look for the right brokers, the right advice to take it forward from them.
On that, how hard is it to find the right broker? I mean, apart from someone's experience, how important is it when you're finding a broker to find someone who you can have a good relationship with, but also someone that understands perhaps your investing style personality?
It's again a track record which you should always observe, right? A lot of brokers are there which are already approved by ESCA, which have a very good track record. So obviously, whenever you try to find somebody with a good track record. That's something which will give you comfort. And obviously, the names in the market are well prevalent. I mean, you talk about a couple of ones is Noor Capital, Daman Investment. They are well established. They have been advising their clients, well regulated and well capitalized. So these are something which you should always look for as a
Right.
firm.
So my question to you now that you explained that it's a very seamless process when you are trying to get yourself in the market. One has got in the market, right? But when an IPO comes out, there is a minimum cap that you have to invest in when you're going for as a private investor. Which generally for the last two was 5,000 dirhams,
Yeah.
right? But someone who does not want to invest 5,000 dirhams or probably just has 1,000 dirhams to invest, should he be ideally waiting for the IPO to happen and then buy the stocks out of the market?
So there are some crowdfunding platforms which are coming up, but they have not been that much significantly investing in the IPO. We have not observed that. But yes, currently if the minimum amount is not met, yes, the best route is once the IPO is done, you should invest. But if you go from a private route, there are also big brokers through private equity which also invest on a much larger scale.
Right.
So there the allocation percentage chance is much higher.
Right, I
So
see.
it's IPO, the allocation also matters, right? At the end of
100%.
the day, how much allocation you get is
Right.
how you define how much profit you make out of it.
Yeah, but you've been speaking about some of the IPOs. I mean, we saw big government listings come out. We saw Salak Diwa, a whole bunch of private companies. Any word yet on what could be some of the next sort of government listings that we might see privatised?
I think, yes, there are some big government entities which are under plan, but the exact dates will be announced near to the IPOs. But one of the things I think which got closed today, the subscription was one of the biggest IPOs is happening is Americano. And that's again happening in dual market here also in Saudi also. So that people are expecting it to be also supposed to do well. Yeah.
Right. I mean, obviously, yes. With the kind of market penetration Americano has with various product line, I don't see no reason why it shouldn't do well.
100%.
And the kind of stocks that have done well or probably have strengthened their positions are daily utility stocks. Be it Salek, be it Diva. Now we're definitely looking at Americano Empower has been doing really well.
Yeah.
So we know for someone who is new in the market to look for these names and invest, would that be a safer bet?
I think these names command trust,
They do.
right? So you have been seeing, and especially people who have lived here for over the years are very familiar with this name, the services, the strength, the foundation is very strong. So any IPO, when we look at or when we judge whether we should invest as an individual or as an entity also, we always look at the foundation of the company.
Makes sense.
And that's why, as I said at the start, the IPO market is thriving because we have a lot of gems, especially in Dubai and UAE as a whole, which are coming up in the next 1 or 1.5 year. So quite an exciting period we can anticipate.
Now, I have one question for someone who cannot make it or does not get allocated during an IPO.
Yeah.
What is or should I say, what is the difference when you invest in an ongoing market versus an IPO investment from a gains perspective?
So for an IPO investment, obviously the share price would be at a much better priced compared to what the true price of the stock would be, because you really want the investors to have that upside, that advantage, and to make the IPO more exciting and all. But at the end of the day, if you are a long-term investor, it really doesn't matter, because a long-term investor will look at the yields which are committed by these strong foundation companies like Diva, Salek and all, which are giving yields beyond 6% and above, and that is something which is amazing in the markets which we are in. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think this is this really is incredible. But when we look at one of the things I wanted to ask you about was the Securities and Exchange High Committee also approved the establishment of a market-making fund.
Yeah.
This is the one that's worth up to 2 billion dirhams.
Yeah.
Now, apparently this is going to increase liquidity, but they also launched, and this is where I find hard to believe, a 1 billion dirham fund to support IPOs in tech companies and encourage innovative financial products and solutions.
Sure.
It's a great announcement to say, hey, we've got $1 billion on the table to help business. But how is it actually going to be rolled out?
So if you look at global markets also, one of the main things any market success is the kind of liquidity the market has, right? And one of the key foundations of any stock market is how you create that market maker is very important, and the liquidity provider. So that's where if you go back at the start of the discussion, we discussed that His Highness vision was very clear. He wanted to create that ecosystem, and it's not only one part of the piece which he's committing. So that's where this piece comes in, and this helps you bring the thriving market of IPO, because you see that the government and the especially His Highness vision is very clear to bring that liquidity providers to support the growing market of IPO, the growing markets which is there, and make it more liquid and lucrative for all the participants in the market.
Right. When we talk about the market, it's not just the UAE market.
Yeah.
Saudi also is coming up really strong.
Yes.
What does the makeup then turn out to be for GCC when Saudi is also being so aggressive with the developments, be it in industries or transport, or for that matter, even sport?
Yeah. In fact, today you can see that there is a good win also against Argentina. So that is something which shows that the growing power of the region across the world.
That's right.
And I would not term only Saudi per se, but in the region we are seeing that influence. And obviously UAE is leading that from the front. So that's something which really encourages for people like us who are here professionally working and seeing the vision of the country and benefiting out of it, to be frank enough.
Yeah, no, shared growth, and that idea of that's I wouldn't say go far as saying shared wealth, but also the idea that if you're an entrepreneur and you do sort of, as we say, back yourself and you go out there, there's support networks in frame for you and there's opportunities for you.
Yeah. Completely agree with you on that. The support network and the ecosystem is what helps you drive the business. And that's what you're seeing in the IPO bumper listings, which we are talking about. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for coming in to Talk 100.3 to give us a quick insight into this. It's in regards to the DFM announcing its new general index, culminating the successful accomplishment of a comprehensive transformation of its indices methodology. And Dr. Abhishek JU, the founder and CEO of AJMS Group, thanks for coming in.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Wonderful. You're on TSB Talk.